I hope you're doing well on this almost summer day. I have a couple of announcements up here at the beginning. I have a PSA for you if you happen to have marketplace health insurance, as you probably heard, because I'm a little obsessed. I'm writing my book right now, and I just wrote a little section about what to do about with your taxes if you have marketplace health insurance. And there's something really important to understand about how the advanced premium tax credit works if you have marketplace health insurance through healthcare.gov. And so I want to take a moment at the top of the episode today to just explain that to you a little bit, in part so that if you need to make a correction or adjustment, that you do that. Because actually, at this time of year, end of June, early July, we're at about the halfway point in the year. And it's a really good time to make assessments about your finances and make adjustments because you still have a full half of the year to enact things. And it's a place where you can course correct. It's also, if you've done your numbers, if you look at your numbers, whether you do bookkeeping or not, you can, at the halfway point in the year, you can take all the numbers, all the money you've spent, all the income you've earned, and do a very, very rough projection for yourself by doubling all those numbers. So just look at your money spent. This doesn't just have to be for your business. It could be, for your family budget, your personal budget. But you can look at all the money you've spent. You can look at all the income you have at this point in the year and double those numbers to get a sense of what your income and spending might be for this year. And I really recommend that you do that because you can course correct if you look at those doubled numbers and they're not what you want. You have time, right? It's a good time to make adjustments. So, um, so let me talk to you, really briefly about marketplace insurance and the advanced premium healthcare credit, just so that you understand how it works. I remember when I was training in taxes, how suddenly when Obamacare passed, I had to learn all this stuff about how our healthcare system worked. I mean, this was not what I expected when I studied taxes. I don't think it's what any accountant expected. But we had to get a certain baseline knowledge about it because it started being part of the questions that we had to ask clients. So what I want you to understand about the advanced premium tax credit is that essentially when you have marketplace health insurance, because of Obamacare, you get, if you have income below a certain threshold, you get a subsidy on your healthcare premiums, right? A lot of people in this country are not insured, especially before Obamacare. A lot of people in this country were not insured because the premiums were simply unaffordable to them. They made a calculus that the premiums were too high. And health insurance, all insurance, it doesn't really work if healthy people and younger people don't buy into the system. And part of the reason that you get a big payout in later, less healthy years is because you've been paying in during those healthier years. And so really, to create a fair system, people have to have health insurance for a full lifespan. So Obamacare was trying to sort of encourage and motivate people in this way and also be helpful towards taxpayers paying those high premiums by giving a government subsidy. Okay. So the subsidy is called the Advanced Premium Health Credit. And basically, when you apply for marketplace health insurance, which you can do on healthcare.gov, regardless of what state you're in, you have to basically give some information there about what your household income is for the year and what you expect your household income to be for the year. Now, the problem with this is that most taxpayers, now, if you have a W-2, this might not be too hard because you can just look at last year's W-2 and assume it's going to be roughly the same. But sometimes it can be quite difficult, especially if you're self-employed, like most of you listening are. It can be quite difficult to project your income because you might really not know, right? You really might not know that this year's income has any relationship to what last year's income was. So it's definitely possible to say what you expect your income to be and get a premium subsidy based on your statement of what you think your income will be, and then be totally wrong. Now, unfortunately, I learned this the hard way through my tax practice, because what has happened a lot is I'm doing people's taxes and I see, oh shit, you made more money than you thought you would. And that's mostly that's a good thing, right? But what happens, because you've been getting a subsidy on those health insurance premiums, you have to pay back that subsidy if your income ends up being higher than what you expected, right? That is actually fair, right? Those subsidies are based on your income, and we don't know your actual income until we do your tax return and look at the actual numbers for the year. So a tax return is a reconciliation document where you take your projections and you compare them with your actuals, right? Similar to the little half year exercise I was talking to you about just a minute ago. So it's very, very important, if you are getting an insurance subsidy on the marketplace, it is very important to keep in mind that you need to update your information in the system if you have a change in income. Okay. If you don't do that, what can happen to you is you can end up having to pay back the subsidy at tax time. So picture yourself next April getting a report, getting your taxes back from your accountant, or, your number calculated on TurboTax, and seeing that the big refund you thought you were getting is all gone, because it's all going back in the form of a repayment of a subsidy that you're not actually entitled to anymore, because you earn more income than you said you were going to earn on healthcare.gov. Okay. So that's the issue. It can be very painful if you're not connecting the dots between these two things. You can get mad at your accountant. You can be really upset. You can have a big whammy tax-wise and not realize that subsidy. A lot of people don't even realize they're getting a subsidy in the first place. And the only reason they realize they ever had it is because they have to pay it back because they made more money. So it's sort of all good things that can end up feeling terrible if you don't know they're coming. So I'm here today for you with a little PSA about your advanced premium tax credit. And I want to let you know that if you're in that position, if you've earned more money this year than you said you thought you were going to when you filled out your paperwork at healthcare.gov, what I want you to do is log on to healthcare.gov. I'll put a link in that in the show notes to that website. It's the marketplace health insurance site, federal. I want you to log in there, and you're going to navigate through the drop down and click update my information. Okay. And you are going to update the information on you're going to modify your application, and you're going to look at your numbers right now, see where your income is, and adjust it, right? If you said you were going to, be earning, I don't know, $6,000 per month, and now it turns out you're earning $8,000 per month, you want to put that update into the system. What is going to happen is that your monthly subsidy will go down. So your premium effectively will rise a little bit, but that will enable you to be paying that. That's gravity. That is an amount you're going to end up paying one way or the other. You could start paying it in small chunks right now each month before tax time, rather than getting hit with a big tax bill on tax day. Okay. So that's what I want you to do. If you've had a change in income this year, if your healthcare subsidy may be affected by that change in income, and it definitely might, I want you to go to healthcare.gov, and I want you to update your application, update your information, and put in that new adjusted amount of expected income. All right. I hope that's helpful to you. Okay. All right. So that's kind of a short and sweet episode for you today. I'm keeping it a little bit brief. I will have a little more for you next week. I have been in the background here writing my book, deep diving into some tax policy stuff, which I'm really excited about, but is also a little bit outside of my regular scope of work. And so it's an area where I need to do a lot of reading, do a lot of research, and I'm talking to a couple economists this month, and this one tax policy researcher who is amazing. And I'm very excited to share his work with you here on the podcast. So if you're interested in tax fairness, tax policy, how we can make our country better through the tax code, which actually is the most fast and effective way to make our country better. That might be why I work on this. I encourage you to tune in to those episodes. And I will keep them light and understandable. I will keep the sunlight, but I hope that you will tune in and learn a little bit about what we can do to make taxes fairer in this country, because I think that's something we all care about. All right, so I hope that interests you. And please, if you enjoyed this episode, if you have a friend who has marketplace health insurance, who's getting a premium tax credit, who's had an income change this year, would you please do that friend a favor and do me a favor and share the episode with them? It is so wonderful and helpful when you help this podcast reach the people it should be going to by sharing it with them, because you know them and I don't. So I really appreciate you so much when you share. So I hope that helps you and your friends who have marketplace health insurance, and go out and adjust your application. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'll see you next time. Bye. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, be sure to like, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel. I'm so grateful for that. This video is for education and entertainment only. Nothing in this episode should be taken as individual tax or financial advice. You can find all the tools, books, and links I reference at sunlighttax.com/podcast.